Hi folks, so this problem here is from the Leaving Cert DCG paper, or sorry, Leaving Cert Technical Drawing paper from 1997. It was a perspective question from obviously 25 years ago now. So the problem here is, okay, you can see we're given an elevation and a plan view of a structure. It says here, figure 1 shows the outline plan and elevation of a structure. Draw the given plan and make a perspective drawing of the structure when the position of the spectator is 1.6 meters from corner A. So that's important. And then the picture plane touching the corner A. So picture plane touches the corner A. And you can see we've got corner A here. And the horizon line is 1.5 meters above the ground line. So that's kind of the information we need from that. Okay, now first of all, looking at the object. You can see here, okay, it's good to get into this habit. We've kind of got we've got obviously 2D drawing here, and a good habit to get into here is I want to obviously make a 3D sketch out of it as best I can. Okay, and then we'll work out the scale heights here in a minute. Now, just before I start that, okay, if you think here, if you look at the elevation, I can see from the ground here, okay, where the elevation is, and this, if you imagine, is the XY line going across there like that, okay, which is to signify the ground, okay. What we have here is kind of a base structure, which is in the shape of a square, and then it kind of slopes upwards then, okay. So if I was to make that as best I can, I'm going to make that base there. So it'll be a section there like this, and going off in the other direction, something very similar. Okay, very likely here at the back, just to make the overall shape. Now I know that goes up a certain height, so I'm going to imagine it goes up to there. Then might be something like this. That'll connect down there like that. That's kind of my base. Then it goes up straight for a little portion. Probably gone a little bit long on this side here, but it's okay. And then it's going to go all the way up then, and you can see it kind of goes up at a slight angle. Okay, so if that one was to kind of continue up there, maybe this one will kind of come up just a little bit and start tapering in. Get a little section here like this. Maybe this one would taper in as well then. This one will kind of come down. And then obviously at the very tip top then would come up to make a point. Okay, so that's kind of the structure that we have to build. Okay, so it's good then obviously if we have the 2D drawing and we can work around to the 3D. Okay, often nowadays this will kind of be given for you, but it's good still to be able to work backwards from the 2D to get the 3D sketch. Now what we're going to do is we're going to apply our scale. Now in a lot of these drawings you'll have a scale. So the scale will say it's 1:20 in this case. What that means is 1 millimeter on my sheets equates to 20 millimeters in reality. So if I apply that then to this, now 1.4 meters is essentially 1,400. Okay, if I was to millimeters, 1,400 divided by 20 will make 70. So it's going to be 70 by 70. 700 millimeters, which is 0.7 of a meter, equates out to, when divided by 20, is 35. 0.5 meters, which is 500, divided by 20 will be 25. So there's the measurements that I'm going to be using. Okay, my various heights then, 200 millimeters divided by 20, so this section here is 10. This section from here to here, 400 divided by 20 is 20. Another 400 divided by 20 is 20. 1,600 divided by 20 is going to be 80. And then 0.4 is the same as this, so it's 20. So there is my various heights, 20, 20, 80, and 20. And I've obviously got a 10 here. And then obviously my widths and my lengths, so width of 20, length of 20, and then I had 25 and 35. Now, obviously we have to draw the plan view. You can see here, I have already drawn in my plan view, positioned it in place on the page where I was thinking it'll be best fitted, okay? So you can see here it's kind of to the right of the middle. I went at 60 degrees down here from corner A, and I measured 80 millimeters to there. That is because the spectator is 1.6, so 1,600, so that would be 80 once it's divided by 20. So 1,600 divided by 20 is 80. Then the horizon line is 1.5 meters. That will work out to be 75 above the ground line. So that's kind of our measurements there, 75 and 80. Okay, so to start this drawing, I've done the plan view. Now what I want to do is, I have point S, I want to set up my picture plane. Okay, so to do that, what we're going to do is, we're going to use our compass in a second. But before we get onto that, oh, sorry there. From the spectator, I want to go to the corner, to the extreme left of the object, and then the corner to the extreme right of the object. Setting up my cone of vision, because essentially that is as far right of the object and as far left of the object that the spectator can see. Now, having got that, I need to get the middle of that, which is setting up my line of sight. So I'm going to bisect that angle. Okay. Having bisected the angle, so that is now my line of sight. Got there. Now, usually with my line of sight, I'll put it in here today with a red. It's going to be my guideline. I'm going to go with a red. Now, perpendicular to your line of sight, so I usually set it up with the long edge of the 45 degrees on the line of sight. Other set square set up behind it. Rotate, you can get a lovely perpendicular angle. Okay, now from there, just my visualizer slightly in the way there. I'm going to move it up here, and there we go. Now I'm going to set up my picture plane. Okay, now that I have that there, I can extend it out. Happy with that. That is my picture plane. So I'm going to write P, there like that. Now, once you have the picture plane, what you want to set up for next is your vanishing points. So from the spectator, I want to go parallel to the direction of the faces. This face is running in this direction, so from the spectator, parallel to hit the picture plane. In this case, I'm just going out horizontal, and this face is running in a vertical direction, or upwards, so I go up there like that. Okay, now, what I would often do with these larger questions, okay, to save me doing a lot of sliding set squares, at this point, what I would actually advise you to do is, whatever way you have it set up, obviously in this case I'm using masking tape. If you've done with clips, absolutely fine as well. But whatever way you have set up, I would now advise you to rotate your sheet so that your picture plane is in line with your t-square. So, to set it up so that my picture plane is in line with my t-square. Move my sheet ever so slightly. I'm quite happy with that there now. So now that my picture plane is in line with my t-square, I'm going to stick down the four corners again. So 1, 2, 3, and finally 4. Okay, so now that we have actually the plan view set up, I'm just going to pull this down a little bit more so you can see it better on the screen. My picture plane is now set up so that it's in line with my t-square. I'm now going to set up my ground line and my horizon line. So I'm going to bring down my ground line far enough on the page, up to here maybe. Okay, I'm going to title that GL for ground line. And I now have to, going back to my sheet, I have to measure 75 millimeters above my ground line to get my horizon line. Okay, so from the ground line, I'm going to measure up 7.5 centimeters, 75 millimeters. Light line usually for my horizon line. I'm going to mark that HL, and then I'm going to drop down then to locate my vanishing points. So from here, send that one down, and the other one, which was parallel to this face, down there. I'm going to locate this one. I'm going to call it VP1, and likewise this one VP2. Okay, just have to move there. Lights going out. Okay. So now we've actually the question started, okay? The setup done, plan view, picture plane, horizon line, ground line, and our two vanishing points. The most important point now is the point that is touching the picture plane, which is corner A. So I'm going to bring that one straight down, okay, like this. That will only work like this when I'm bringing it straight down. Obviously, you'd have to do sliding set squares if you have not previously rotated your sheet. Because corner A is touching our picture plane, corner A starts on the ground line. Okay. Now, essentially just going to go back here. So this is corner A, right there. okay, and our picture plane is passing through it. Because our picture plane is touching corner A, I can take this vertical height, which is 10 millimeters over here, and I can measure that straight up, and I can start to build out this section and this section. They're the first two sections I can build out, okay? So they're the first things I'm going to do. So zoom out there. I'm going to start off by measuring up the vertical height there, which was 10 millimeters. Measure it to here, okay? I'll heavy in that edge. Now, from there, I'm going to vanish it because the face runs in this direction, so I'm going to vanish it to VP1. Likely. Because this face runs in this direction, I'm now going to vanish it over to VP2. Okay. Now, the next thing I have to figure out is, where do those faces end? Okay, and they end where obviously the face comes over here and ends at this point, but it's where the spectator's view of it is. So as the spectator looks at that point, it hits the picture plane here, and at this point, it hits the picture plane here. So where it hits the picture plane, that is essentially where my object is going to fit inside. So I'm going to bring this one down, and this one down. Okay, I can now heavy in that section there, and that section there, and this face. So start building it up. As you complete the faces, start to heavy those in, because it will start to bring the object to life. Now, what I would usually advise, just to get your bearings, maybe vanish that one over there, sorry. Don't need it because I'm not going to see it, but it's just helpful because what it does help me do, bring that one over again, sorry, it does help me find that back edge corner, okay? But the thing is, I'm not actually going to see it because all of this is in front of it. Okay, the next bit we have to find is this face here and this face. But obviously we can see they are sloping upwards and they have a different height. Okay, so what we're actually going to have to use here now is a height line. Okay, now that face there and this face are actually here and here, or obviously here and here. Sorry, I should say this one and this one. Okay, so from this line here, you can do it in multiple ways. Okay, so this line or this line in my plan, I'm going to use both of those, which is here and here. Now I could do it both ways. What I'm actually going to do is I'm going to take it from, just looking here, goes out here, I'm actually going to take it from this one, okay? So that edge right there, okay, that edge right there is actually this edge. What I'm going to do is I'm going to bring that out until it hits my picture plane somewhere out around there, okay? So I'm going to extend that edge down until it hits my picture plane. So, I'm going to use a red here for a height line. So I'm going to extend this one down until it hits my picture plane, and I'm going to write on it height line. Okay, where it hits the picture plane, I can now use that height there as a true height. So I'm going to bring this down. Okay, I've now brought it down to my ground line. Okay, we look at the drawing. What is the height of that point, which is the one that I'm after extending out? What is the height of that? You can see here it is up a height of 20 millimeters. So on this line here, where I've extended the height line down, I'm now going to measure up 20. Okay, now what's going to be helpful to me is I have to vanish that back in the direction of the face. So this face was running in this direction, the height line was running in this direction, so from this point it's going to vanish over to VP2. Somewhere along that line there is going to be this point. Okay, how do I find that point? I need the spectator's view of it. So bring it down to the spectator, stop it at the picture plane. While I'm at it, I'm going to bring down the various other points that I'm going to need. I'm going to need this one. I'm also going to need this one over here. The next one I'm going to need is this one. This point right here. And this point right here. And then finally, I'm also going to need topmost point. Now, you might ask, do I need these points here? I don't need them because as a spectator looks at it, all of these faces are in front of those. Okay, so I don't need them. They are there, but I don't need them. So what I want to do now is, the height line I brought down was for this point here. So brought down, measured up 20, vanished it back. I want to find that point now. So where that came down and hit the pitch plane, which is right here, I'm going to bring it down then. And that has identified that point to me there. Now I know that point then connects to here. Okay, so I've got that front edge. Now I want to find the face running in back here. So let's find that face. So first of all, it ends over here. So I bring this down. And then that face is running in this direction, okay, which is going to VP1 from here. That has gone through the point there. So I can now heavy this in and then connect down to here. Okay, so I've started to build up that section. Now I want to get the other sloping face. So where does that end? It goes in this direction. So from here, it's already gone in that direction. I need to now find the point. So let's extend it down, or project it down, I should say. Goes through right there. So at that point there, I can now heavy in that bit and this bit. Okay, as you can see, we are building up the object face by face. We've done this bottom face, this one. We've now done this one and this one. Now I have to get these faces, these two. Okay, so that's the next bit we want to work on. So if you look it up here, we've got a, if you look over here, we've got a height of 20 already done. Now we have to go up another 20. Okay, and that's a height altogether of 40. Okay, very important. Those faces are actually underneath this one. So I can use the same height line, only this time I have to add on another 20. So that height line that I projected down in my plan, which was up here, I'll zoom out now, okay, is from this face still, so I can use that one. But instead of using the 20, I have to add on another 20. So from the ground, it's actually up 40 this time. So from 0 up to 4. Now that face, once again, is running in that direction, so I'm going to vanish over to BP2. Okay, and you can actually see the face here now, because where it cuts here, that's that bit, and there, then it's going to vanish over in this direction, and now I can heavy in this section here. Okay, so you can see it's starting to build, and now obviously the next bit we're on top is the kind of spiky part. Okay, so just zooming in there. Now this spiky portion, okay, is kind of these sloping lines here in the plan. Okay, so these ones here, that's the bit we're getting on top. Those three lines there, they'll come up and meet here. So the first thing we're going to have to do is we're going to have to create another height line. The last time we had our height line going out to our picture plane from here, this time we're going to use this one, because the one we're trying to find are these edges up here. Okay, so what height am I going to need from the ground? 20 to 20 is 40. 40 plus the 80 brings us up to here. So 40 plus 80 is actually 120 from the ground up to here. And that point, those edges there, is this in the plan view. Okay, so following the same principles we've previously used, we're going to now do another height line. We're going to do it in the same direction. Stick with the same direction. So this edge, I'm now going to bring it down here, like that. Where it hits the pitch plane right here, bring it down to the ground line. Okay, and on this line now, I'm now going to measure that height of 120. So 120 brings me right up to here. So from there, where do I vanish to? Well, it was going in this direction, which is the same as this, so it's going to go over to BP2. So somewhere along that line right there is going to be this point, or this point I should say here, which is this point in my plan. So let's find that point in the plan. That's where it is. I want the spectator's view of it. So it was brought down to the spectator where it hits the picture plane, right there. I need to now drop that down. And there we go. I've now found the point. Okay. So what do? I know that then connects down to here. So I can heavy in that bit. I need to now find the two other faces. Okay. So I want to find those faces. Now this face here is running in this direction. So from here, it's going to vanish over to BP1. I want to find where that finishes. The face ends there, the face goes from here, ends here, spectator's view of it hits here. So from there, bring that down. That's where it hits, right there. Okay, so I've now got that face, and the next face I want to find is where it ends over here. Same principle, vanishes over here, can heavy down to that point, and from that point there, connect down to here. Okay, so you can see here, we're just building it up. All I was doing was by finding one point, I was able to find the other two either side of it. Now the last one we need is just this little tower bit here. Okay, so the same principle is going to apply. I'm going to have to take a height line. 20 plus 20 is 40, plus 80 is 120, plus another 20 is 140. The overall height is 140 from the ground all the way to the top. Okay, so the point I want to find is right here at the top. So I'm going to do the same thing. Might have to use sliding set squares here because I have no line to guide me. So parallel to those faces there. I'm going to bring it out from the top. Once again, I'm going to stick with my red for my height lines. This one goes all the way out here. Where it hits the picture plane, right here. Project it down. I'm now going to measure up that height of 140. So up to 14. That's the point. Now, I projected my height line in this direction, which is parallel to this line, so I'm going to have to banish it over to VP2. Okay, so somewhere along that line there, I'm going to now get this point. So the spectator's view was here, comes down, hits the picture plane right there. So from there then, bring it down, or it cuts through that height line. I've now found the topmost point. Having found that, I can heavy that in. And there you go. That is the problem completed, okay? So that question was quite helpful to us, okay, in the sense that we used it for using height lines, okay? And you can see here I had to obviously use 3 extra height lines, one for this edge, one for this edge, and one for the topmost point, okay? Now, I did them all in this direction, which meant I had to banish every one of them back to VP2. If I had just brought them in this direction, like that, I would have vanished all of them to VP1. The reason I chose them in this direction is because I knew if I had brought this one down, it might have gone into a part of my drawing, which I didn't want to do. So by bringing them in this direction, okay, it kind of kept them all outside the drawing. Okay, obviously it wouldn't matter either way, it'll still give you the same results. Okay, but that there, guys, was the 1997 perspective question. Hope you found that helpful.